Wanda, can you give me a thumbs up when we're going live? Welcome to a beautiful evening where we get to talk all about how to help young people have a bright future. I'm Barbara Davis. I've been a foster mom for 40 years. I would do anything in this world to make sure as many children and teens can have a bright and beautiful life and feel good about themselves. And I'd like to introduce you to my co-presenter. She's an absolutely amazing young woman, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about who she is. Wanda, take it.
Thank you, Barbara, for that nice introduction. I'm so glad that everyone is joining us tonight. We had a wonderful opportunity to view all of our fellow speakers' presentations this week. So it's nice to have a Friday night where we're kind of summing things up a little bit. So I am a former foster. I had lived in the system from age 4 to 24. I signed myself back in for college and went back to school and got my master's in public policy and public administration so that I could work with foster youth towards helping them with changing legislation. And I was able to work as a family self-sufficiency coach, helping connect people with community services, helping the kids to connect with job opportunities and educational opportunities. And I've paired up with Barbara. I'm very, very grateful to be here tonight with her and all of her efforts towards helping youth in the foster care system. So welcome, everybody.
And what's so refreshing to me about working with Wanda is I always have tried to teach every young person who comes under my wing how to access their gifts within to offset their struggles, so that each day they begin to feel stronger and stronger and better about themselves. And we're hoping that what you saw in our presentation gave you a few avenues that you can use. Wanda, I'm going to ask you to read out any questions people have out loud, and we'll do our best to answer them. And also, we have a special surprise for you tonight. Both Wanda and I love to speak with expression, and we'll be reading to you just a little bit, just a small snippet of different things we have written to help young people. Wanda, do we have any questions?
We don't have any questions yet, Barbara, so I would really like to hear a little bit more about your experiences, and maybe we can share a little bit from there, some of the work that you've done with the youth with art.
Okay, well, my experience has been that I was a performing artist in the school system in California. And I was very lighthearted in my shows. And what's interesting is at the end of shows, young people would come up to me and ask if they could please talk to me. And it was pretty heartbreaking because they felt comfortable with me because I had brought laughter to their day and they were feeling good about themselves. They wanted to talk. And they shared some pretty sad stories with me. One young woman told me how she was wandering around at night by herself because there were drugs in the home where she was at. Another young person shared with me having seen his father hurt his brother in front of him in a drunken rage. And, you know, I learned humor and the performing arts are an opener for the human heart. And so I decided at a very young age, I've got to start taking children in. And of course, I did report what I was told and heard and did everything I could for those young people I met at those shows. But it really was an eye-opener for me. And you know, when I was very young, I was kind of a lonely kid, kind of a quirky, unique kid, the one who always would try to fit in, but for some reason the kids would leave me on the outside of the circle they were all in. But I was always good at putting expression in my words. So I learned at a very young age when I started performing that it was a way to bring people in and also a way to share and give and be accepted. So what's really cool is I thought, why not share this with the children I had in my home? And I'll tell you, Wanda, the first little one I ever had, she had been in over 7 homes. Her mom was in prison. Social services didn't know what to do. She had a lot going on within her. And the first thing I did when I saw her is I said, you know what, kiddo? Do you know how to sing? And don't worry, you don't have to sing perfect. Let's just start singing. And so we were singing the song Zippity Doo Dah, Zippity Day, my oh my, what a beautiful day together. And excuse me if I didn't get those lyrics perfectly, but it was pretty cool just to see her start skipping. And she did great in my care. Wanda, I'm really excited too. I know that you, when you were in care, just like myself, discovered a part of you in the arts, different than me with the performing. Can you tell everyone about your discovery?
Yeah, so I had entered into care at 4, like I mentioned before, and I had a little bit of time when things were confusing, and I wasn't sure where I was going to be placed. And I was in 13 foster homes in the first 6 months that I was in care, because they were mostly respite placements where they were trying to find a permanent placement. And so I finally went to school and had to restart kindergarten. And so I had a foster mom who was really invested in my education, and she wanted to teach me some words. And so she and the teacher met, and they had me sit down and really take a look at animals with letters and things like that. And they focused a lot on the shapes and playing some music and letting me sit and use the art easel to just get my feelings out, because I didn't want to talk at that time. So that was very, very helpful. It was very therapeutic. And eventually I was able to, I remember one of the kids came over and started painting on my easel. And so we all started, I was able to integrate back into the classroom with the rest of the kids after I had that transition period and started talking. So that was my introduction to the arts, and using that while in foster care as a medium to be able to talk to people.
You know, speaking about expressing emotions, I know, boy, have I ever seen a variety of emotions with the little ones that have shown up here and the teens. I'd like to read something to all of you, which I know many of you are familiar with what I'm about to read to you, but it's important to bring it up because it's so essential that we teach kids how to understand emotion and express it successfully, or the outcome might be different. Sometimes it is difficult for children to find the words to accurately articulate what they are feeling. Without a way to express emotion, children and teens might release painful or otherwise overwhelming feelings in unsafe ways. For example, anger might lead to aggression. Sadness might lead to thoughts of suicide. Fear might lead to running away. Expressing emotion in art allows children a cathartic release, after which they feel a sense of ease. In this way, children learn to use art as a coping skill to process emotions so that they can feel empowered to show up in the world at their best. And something I've seen in the last 2 years that I've had teens in my care, the suicide rate is so much higher. And I have seen young people lay in their beds, in their rooms, not want to come out because they have so much inside of them that they don't know what to do, and they don't know how to monitor those emotions. And unfortunately, the outcome can be just like what I was reading about. But the cool news is kids who are really emotional and begin to explore those emotions, they become amazing artists. I know many of you have seen singers who can just burst with enthusiasm and energy and strength and passion. It's because they are so emotional and they learn to express it. Wanda, do we have any questions?
I just want to say we don't have any questions yet, but I want to say hi to whoever this is on the chat. It may be Dr. John. If it's not, I know we also have Lucia who is here with us. And I want to say a special thank you to her for helping us tonight with the Q&A. And so, yeah, Barbara, that's a good point. You know, the foster youth that perhaps are having a hard time being at home and not knowing how to interact. And, you know, socialization is a really difficult and challenging thing for some foster youth because they're dealing with a lot of issues that other kids are not dealing with. They have a lot of adults in their lives who are telling them which way things are going to be going. They have a lot of interventive, you know, practices going on with the social workers, maybe the school. So it can be a very challenging time while they're home to find outlets and things like that. So, you know, one of the things that I've seen is a connection to the arts through whether it's theater or doing dance or, you know, practicing with music and things like that. That can be very helpful, but those carry a cost. So one of the things we talked about in the presentation is ways in which you can connect foster youth despite those costs. And so sometimes the schools will even have scholarships for low-income students, students of different backgrounds. And so it's a great idea to connect with the school and see what they have available, or even your local children and family services to see if they could help the kids get into some kind of dance or theater. I know that you love theater, Barbara. And we also talked about camp. Camp was incredibly helpful. When I was a youth, I was painfully shy and was able to reach out to a lot of different kids and learn things from them, learn some of the skills that I picked up along the way, and really enjoy being out in nature and not having to be around a lot of adults, just getting to be a kid and being around some of the counselors who had a more creative vibe going on. So that was very helpful in growth and healing. So Barbara, I know you've done a lot of work with kids with camp. So I would love to hear a little bit more about that. I'm sure everybody would love to hear.
Yeah, well, I have a special camp that I got to do some workshops at called Camp to Belong. It's an amazing camp. They take siblings who have been separated and they're all brought together and we celebrate throughout the week. For example, birthdays. There's a room they can all go to and there's tons of different things that they can choose for their sibling and get the gifts together. And then it's so exciting. They get a chance to then have a huge party, one big birthday party all at once. And a lot of other great things go on at camp and swimming and horses. And it's just such a happy time, such a happy moment in their life. I know last night Shalina was talking about memories, and it is such a memory when you feel good and happy inside and you feel loved, which all the kids I know at the camp that I go to, they feel very loved because a lot of the counselors actually are young people that grew up in care. And the volunteers are people like me and different people who care deeply for these children and they can feel it. You know, I'd like to read something that I have here tonight. It's an excerpt from the Velveteen Rabbit. And after I read it, I would love to hear from you, Wanda, ideas and ways with connection in the home that future foster parents can use. Okay? This is from the Velveteen Rabbit. And so my life has gone. What is real? Asked the rabbit one day when they were lying side by side near the nursery fender. Real isn't how you are made, said the skinned horse. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit. Sometimes, said the skinned horse, for he was always truthful. And why I wanted to read this out loud is because I found when I read with expression to young people that were here, and I also showed them in their lives that they belonged right where they were safe, it helped so much to build connection. And I also want to say, I think it's very important to stay in touch with as many of the young people as you've had in your care into their whole life, if possible, so they still feel you present with them. So they have what every young person deserves, a caring person in their life. Wanda, maybe you can share a little bit about a time where you felt really connected to a foster parent and how that came about.
Sure. Before I do share, I just want to say hi to Shayna. She's there in our chat. And then she asked if foster youth maybe isolate themselves. So I can answer those two questions in one, I think. So I could say that one of the most memorable times that I had met my foster family that is a treasured family that I still have a connection with today. I have holidays with them. Their son and daughter have children, and they're now my nieces and nephews. And so I am definitely a part of their family now. It's been a very different walk with the relationship that we've had. So when I was a youth and I met them at age 4, I stayed with them until I was adopted at 9. And then we had a failed adoption. So I went on to an orphanage and was having a really difficult time dealing with that. And I eventually went to call them because I had remembered their phone number by heart. When I left their house at age 9, they had made such an impression. We would go for walks. I would learn about their family's history. Their grandmother was from Poland, and so she would cook different foods for me. So I got to learn about their culture. And so those things really stuck with me. Those were the good memories. Like Shalina had mentioned last night, not all of foster care brings, every day is not always a bad day. There are good memories as well. And so the things that they taught me, I remember my foster brother teaching me to tie my shoes when I first went to live with them at age 5. And so I was sitting in the orphanage and they told me that I was going to have to go to yet another foster home. And I thought in the, back of my mind, kind of the light bulb went off and I said, no, I remember this family that I really loved and that they had shown me a lot of compassion and taught me a lot of things. And so I said, all right, I'll take a chance. And my counselor said, okay, here's the phone. We don't usually encourage this, but you can give it a try. And they were eating dinner. And this memory sticks in my head because they told me that they dropped the phone and that they just were all in tears because they'd never thought they'd see me again. And from there on out, I've been part of the family. It's been a rocky road. There was a lot of things along the way with their health and building that relationship, but that is the memory of being able to call them and reconnect. So you may not think you have an impact on the kids, but I've heard from former fosters, they remember a lot of their foster homes years later, even if it was just for a week. It could have been the best week of their lives. It could have been just really enjoyable. So, and as far as isolation goes, Shayna, maybe Barbara, you can help with this one, but I'm thinking that when the youth are feeling so isolated, relationship building is a really great way to get them to, maybe they're viewing their peers who have better coping mechanisms or different ways of opening up. And I think that theater is one of the ways that I've heard people are able to express themselves very creatively in that way where they can open up. So I would definitely say in the arts. But Barbara, what would you say for that?
Well, can you tell me, what was her question, Wanda?
Her question was, let me see here. Do a lot of foster children also maybe isolate themselves?
Okay, good question. Well, unfortunately, because of what happened with COVID, young people ended up isolating themselves, not even just youth with foster care. But prior to COVID, I had seen a number of young people and teens that did not isolate themselves. And then I saw my fair share of young people that did. I unfortunately helped a young woman who had seen her father when he was in a drunken rage throw his brother against a wall, and the little boy became paralyzed. So I worked very hard with that young woman because she was hiding in her room. She wasn't in my care. She was somewhere else at the time. I was working under a beautiful grant that allowed me to have individual sessions with children that even the mental health services couldn't seem to reach, but they had recommended, let's see if this new technique will work. And what I did with that young woman is, rather than make her talk about that time that she saw that, I had her pull out a pencil and a paper, and we wrote a beautiful story about a little bird in a storm. A little boy, of course, was the bird in the storm, but we used a metaphor to make it easier for her to write a story to express what she had experienced. After about 4 sessions, I had her stand up and read it out loud. It helped her to release what she was holding in, and it is my hope that she did not isolate as much in the years that followed. This last year, I've seen a lot with all this technology. I say that people from my generation, I'm 69 years old, I say I am from the light years because we didn't have all the gaming. We didn't have all the technology. Some people say it's the look down generation. It breaks my heart when you see young people looking down all the time and not even looking in each other's eyes. So I have recently, because of all the technology, seen youth isolating more if they're involved in too much gaming. And it's not easy. It's not easy to help them make that shift. But Wanda was saying, do you have any suggestions? One thing I did with one of the people that I helped that would not leave the room is I brought in young people that person's age. I don't think that as a parent, I always should be the one asking or telling them what to do, because sometimes in relationships with a foster parent, you got to be careful. You don't want to get in an action, reaction, tug of war. You want to make that guidance and helping them to come out of isolation gentle and fun. So bring in a young person. Find a young person to donate some time and take that young person out of your home and have a good experience. Or maybe you can find an adult that would like to volunteer some time. And maybe they have an animal, a dog, and they go on dog walks together. I highly suggest, if you have a young person that you know that is isolating a lot, that you do everything you can to gently persuade them to come out into the world and help them be a part of life. Wanda, I was wondering if you'd like to either read your poem out loud that we had in the presentation, or you have some beautiful words about when that I love what Wanda writes. When she wrote about when she was in an orphanage, I love the way she writes. And before she does this, I want to remind all of you that she has a book that will be coming out. And we made sure in the presentation that we gave you a website for her and also for myself. I have an ebook entitled The Children I Have Loved. We both are going to continue to move forward and keep working together. And so we'd love to reach out to as many organizations and families that would like to have us speak together. So speaking of speaking, Wanda,
Yeah, so
I'll leave it up to you. What would you like to read out loud?
So I just wanted to quickly circle back to what you were saying, though, about the youth having someone to, having a peer to talk to. And I want to say I had a wonderful experience with Big Brother, Big Sister. While I was at the residential, I had been paired up with this wonderful woman who showed me some of the goals she had accomplished in life, and just really shared a lot about her background. And we would go do general things like going to the pool, or we would go take walks to the library. And that was a time where she wasn't connected to anything that we were doing with foster care at that time. So I started to feel comfortable with her and opening up. So I really think that that can be a great outlet. And sometimes even in the schools, they'll have peer mentors, older kids that can be paired with the younger kids to help them to have someone to talk to, if that helps. And thank you, Barbara, for sharing about our books. I really, really treasure the articles and things that you've shared with me. So I hope everyone gets a chance to read Barbara's book, and mine will be out later this year. So I wanted to read one of the poems that I had written. Let's see here. All right, this one's called Beauty Unflawed. And this was something I had written as a teenager in foster care, so bear with me. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the beck and who's the call? Far and open arms wide, in wonderland I glide. Beauty's feast is unflawed, teacups and china, timid and scared. Oh, beautiful these ugly elms, which in the wood hide the elves. Your dusty stars in those eyes. Cinderella, don't hate, don't despise. That black stallion is blue, for his maiden fair rests. With morning dew, your fate must not sleep, or you too shall lose your sleep. Sheep.
Yeah, I love it. You know, I have founded an organization, a nonprofit, and we do all that we can to help young people with the arts. And Wanda, I have good news for you, and I want to share this with all of you. There is on the website, littleliveshow.com, a place where you can donate. If you'd like to donate specifically to Wanda and her work as a young artist, our organization would like to be able to donate back to her. So we do everything we can to help. She and I have donated our time putting our presentation together, because there's nothing that I know that's more important to her or to I than to make every landing a soft and gentle one for young people, and to help everybody who is in the social service field and child welfare, mental health professionals, resource parents, peers, everyone, help them have as many skills as they can possibly have to help these young people. Because it's sad but true, some of the young people I knew did end up in prison. They had lived with me temporarily, and for whatever reasons got returned back, maybe to birth family tried very hard, but something went wrong and they ended up moving in the system longer and they just didn't make it. So I've stayed in touch. Take a lot of collect calls from prison. Because, and you know, the good news, I will tell you, one of the young people I know that did end up in prison is out now, and he is so happy. He's sober and doing well. So Wanda and I just really want to see bright, bright, bright futures. So if you can visit littleliveshow.com and donate, please specify if it's directly for her, and I will make sure that we are able to sponsor her. And I also appreciate the supports for all the services that we're bringing out to as many people as possible. You know that quote we put, to live one's life as a labor of love is a gift beyond measure? I feel that way about all of us and all of us that have been a part of this conference.
Yeah. Beautifully said, Barbara.
Sometimes I use a lot of words, though, I tell you.
No, it's great. You have a lot to express. And Cheryl has joined us. Hi, Cheryl. She said she loves your bubbly personality, Barbara, and adores my sweet face. Thank you. Yes, we do care. We definitely both care. And you know, you mentioned, I know it's kind of a sobering fact, Barbara, but I had read that 85% of the fostering youth do end up either homeless or incarcerated. And having had so many brothers and sisters throughout foster care, like I mentioned, 13 homes in the first 6 months that I entered care at age 4, before my 5th birthday, I interacted with so many kids, and that was one of the treasured things, that, one of the good parts is being able to meet so many different people of different backgrounds. But I often wonder where my brothers and sisters in foster care are these days. And that is just, something that it makes me almost tear up, because I really would love to see that they're doing well. I would love to see that they are able to live their lives to their full potential, and maybe doing something with other foster kids, to help them.
Yeah,
It's nice
that is so exciting. And the young man who appeared in our presentation, who spoke, and this upcoming year, I know that I'm working hard on a podcast, and I'm going to invite Wanda to keep co-presenting with me, because I tease her and I say, Wanda, the way you are is you're just like, I always teach like the kids that I've always taught them how to be and how to communicate. You're just like that. You're so great. And I just hope we can stick together. Now, you can see I used a lot of words.
Yes, we'll really definitely have to stick together.
Okay, well, are there any other questions? And Cheryl, I just love all your enthusiasm. Thank you. Keep connecting Wanda and I to as many people as you like, so we can keep spreading the word, just like a beautiful stream that trickles through the mountains. We'll just keep going and going.
I love that. And Cheryl does say, Cheryl, you didn't find your sister until you were over 30, and she was a CASA advocate. Well, that's amazing that your sister was doing that work. So she was already reaching back out, and now you're reaching out too. And so you guys were able to connect, and that's something to share, truly. I have siblings that want nothing to do with foster care, and I understand and respect that. But being able to form those connections, I think I was in my mid-20s, a little bit later, when I reached back out to some of them that I had lost contact with, biological siblings, and I had a few half siblings, which there's, siblings are siblings, but they too were not raised in foster care, so they had no idea the struggles that my other siblings and I had gone through. So it's nice to connect. I always say to the kids when they're gonna connect to really think about the type of relationship that they want to have, and remember that your siblings can be like friends, but you have different perspectives on maybe how your care, time in care was, or time not in care. So it's good to get to know those things about each other too. And then we have some other questions, Barbara.
Oh, great.
So Shayna asked, those are definitely the facts. How can I get involved by teaching a program I taught before within the system? I'll let you take that one.
Can you say that question one more? She's interested in trying to do a program. Can you say
Sure. So I think when we were back a few minutes ago, when we were talking about the youth who maybe don't end up in the best of circumstances, she was talking about how can I get involved by teaching a program I taught before within the system. So how can Shayna get connected? How can anyone get here to get connected?
What was her program that she did? Can you ask her that? And just to let all of you know, we're coming in live through Zoom. So Wanda's phone has a much better connection than mine, so she can see all of your questions. And I cannot, because my phone connection is not as good as hers. So let's hear a little bit about what your program is all about, Shayna. And Shayna, you'll get a kick out of this, but my Hebrew name is Shayna, and you probably know it means beautiful and pretty in Hebrew.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that, Barbara. That's nice.
Yeah. And I would like to, what, Wanda?
Oh, go ahead.
What I want to say to you, Shayna, is anytime we create something from our heart and we want it to get out there, you really have to open doors. Unfortunately, I barely made it out of high school. I am not a college graduate. I'm a life learner, which I think is just as important as college. But because I'm a life learner, it's not like I have a degree and can just go and get these different types of jobs. I have to create my program and create the following. So you can check in your local area and find out who's looking for the type of program you developed. How can you convince them that this is something important for them to use? And I am excited to hear about what the program is. I will say that our local foster parent association where I live has what's called opportunity grants. And they actually fund foster youth being able to go and work and be a part of special programs. So say your program was here and it was something they wanted to do, the foster parent could apply for funding to be able to be a part of your program. So not knowing all the details, it's hard to say specifically where it can go, but get creative. And you're welcome to contact me also, and I'd be happy to brainstorm with you once I know more about what you're doing. And maybe you can share that with Wanda right now too.
Yeah, and so she wrote the right to knowledge, self-love, family, community, education, and purpose. So I can say too that when I was working as a family self-sufficiency coach, we connected families to some of those services through our local career centers because they would have grants to hire people that were doing different webinars and coursework to help the youth connect with those skills. So they would run a series of skills, different workshops, and they would connect through the different housing authorities. So I would also add to what Barbara has highlighted there and say, check in with some of the local housing and career centers to see if they would potentially run those as well. And then John says, thank you both for sharing part of your stories and your wisdom. Thank you, John, for giving us the platform. Truly appreciate that and all the work that you're doing. If you guys get the chance, definitely check out the Foster Care Institute. That's another way to connect with other fosters and to network as well. Cheryl says, and you have an amazing talent with children, Barbara. She definitely does.
They mean everything in the world to me. And, you know, last night it was kind of funny. I was remembering how one time when I went to a school and all of a sudden all these children were just like running after me. I thought, oh, yay, it's like you get to be a magnet for kids. Couldn't ask for more. But I have to say, Cheryl, as I've gotten older, so many teens and adults, it's so important to me to connect with them. And every week on the phone, I'm on the phone with either a young person who had lived here before or a new young person that's coming to me. I'm seeing a lot of young adults struggling now. So as much as I love the little ones, and I plan on doing a lot for the little ones in this upcoming year, I have a deep concern for the teens and the young adults of now. And I know you do too. And I also want to tell you, Shana, Dr. John opened up doors for me to not give up and to continue to move forward. You can connect with him also. He's a coach. He's a great coach. He helps to make good teams. Everybody I've met in this last week in this conference, I feel like I have found more kindred spirits in 1 week than I have in 18 years.
Yeah.
Because we all share a similar goal. You know, you see sports on TV all the time and you see those teams. I was watching the game last night with the Warriors and I thought to myself, why don't we put more emphasis in society on teams like this too? Oh, which by the way, I want to say something. Not all young people are interested in the arts. Some of them are interested in sports. They're interested in chess. They're interested in all kinds of different activities. So it's so important, even though we expressed a lot about using the arts, that you find what their gift is, what their interest is, and build upon that each day. And it's very important that foster parents always remember, take whatever you can that you have that's available to you and spend it on these young people so they can have what they need. Well, Wanda, let's think. Do we have any other closing thoughts before we go, or anything? Dr. John, if you would like to say anything, Cheryl, anybody who would
I'd like to ask Barbara if anybody out there in the audience, what may have helped them as a foster youth, or if they've had anything that's helped foster youth in the form of arts or sports or those kinds of outlets, and how they believe that was helpful. Just a short, quick answer of what you may have done, whether it was music, dance, sports, and how that might have helped you in your foster care journey or helped your foster youth that you have interacted with. And Cheryl says that Dr. John has connected many of us together. Yes. Yeah. And Shayna, it has a heart for helping the youth as well, it looks like. Yeah. A lot of great people just trying to do the good work to help the kids. We love you too, Cheryl.
we love Cheryl.
What kind of connections would you like moving forward? Sorry, Barbara.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just wanted to say too that we just really are grateful to Licia. She helped us out tonight. We are not technology whiz kids. Wanda's better than I am at this, but Licia really helped us to be able to be here tonight. We weren't quite sure how we could be together on the live, and at the last moment she just got on board and helped us and brought us into all of you. So Lisa, you're like an angel who flew in. And now before I interrupted, what were you saying, Wanda?
Let's see. So just saying here, Shalina, hi Shalina. So just want to let you guys know too that Shalina has opened up some opportunities. She interviews former fosters and I believe foster parents and those in connection serving foster youth. So she has a podcast series and she's working on that right now. So if you're looking for opportunities, I would suggest you connect with her. Yep, so she's going to be doing that. And so Barbara and I are hoping that we'll be able to work with Shalina on that next. Yeah, she's the MVP.
And Wanda, you know, this year, the media center where I'm at, we're going to be doing podcasts, bringing in youth that have been in care and all kinds of leaders. So I'm going to be inviting you to help co-host that. And I want to say to all of you that if you would like us to do a Zoom meeting with young people in your area, the good news about technology is we can reach across the United States and help young people all the way in Florida or Carolina or wherever you'd like us to come. We would be happy to guide them and work with them and do some of the activities we did in the presentation with them through Zoom, and it would be fantastic. So Wanda, can you please give your website and if you'd like your email contact information?
Yeah, so it's foster your destiny at gmail.com. So foster your destiny, and it's going to be fosteryd.com. That's the website, and it's kind of up and coming, so bear with me, but there'll be new material there as I work with my friend Barbara, and hopefully we can bring some good new things to the youth. I would like to try to get a scholarship there for some of the youth by the end of the year. That's my goal.
And as far as a website for me, littleliveshow.com. Please be sure to visit and help us to continue our work. And I also want to say, if you were here tonight, especially Shayna, you can email me at littleliveshow@aol.com. Yes, I am still on AOL. I like it. And I have a phone contact, 415-482-0176. Hold on to your seats to this one. It's a landline. You can't text on it. My cell phone doesn't work that well where I am, So just call me after 10 a.m. I'm in California, so wherever you are, figure out what time it would be for you. And I look forward to seeing all of you again. And I want to thank you, Shalina, Danny, Dr. John, Licia, Wanda, Cheryl, and all of the wonderful presenters that were here this week. Before we go, also, I think Shalina would like to share with us, the videos are still going to be up for people for one more week, correct? I know.
I'm getting hearts. We're getting hearts, Barbara. So I think that's
yay! I love the love.
Yeah, spreading the love. Thank you guys, and thank you for joining us. And I've really enjoyed, like Barbara mentioned, really enjoyed seeing all of your presentations. If you haven't gotten a chance to check theirs out, please go to our website there for the conference and take a look at their wonderful, wonderful shares. Yeah, we won't delete our link, Cheryl. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, so
I just want to check, Wanda, can you ask Shalina, since you can see the different questions, can you ask her how long those links are going to be left up for? I think it's 1 full week, because I know I want to go to all of them. I want to take a chance and see what everybody had to say.
Yeah, it may stay on Dr. John's page there, so hopefully that does stay up. But really looking forward to seeing how we all can further connect. I think we all have different skills and abilities and backgrounds in helping the youth, and so it'd be truly nice to connect with everyone. So go ahead and reach out to us, please. We would love to hear more about what you're doing in your work.
And you know something funny? We are bringing good news, great news, fantastic news, amazing news, funny news, and news that matters. We're not going to let all the bad news in our world get us down. We're going to be a good team and bring the good news.
Love it. I love that. Videos will be up for 1 week. Thank you, Shalina. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be heading out soon. I know my son and my husband and our dog would like to come on in. So, Wanda, thank you for being one of the most remarkable young women I have ever met in my entire life. And thank you for sticking by my side this week.
Thank you for being such an amazing, charming teammate, Barbara. You are incredible. Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Alicia. Love you.
Bye, guys.
Wanda, go ahead and text Licia and let her know.